What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the TCG Empire YouTube channel. Today we're taking a look at Tord's top 8 Lost Box list. So, as you guys know, Tord is known for playing Gardevoir. This weekend at his regionals, he ended up playing a Lost Box variant of Turbo Kyogre, and we're going to take a look at it today. He was able to take it to a top 8 finish with a record of 10-0-5, so definitely is a ton of fun. So the first card we have is Comfey, flower selecting once during your turn. If it's in the active, look at 2 cards from the top of your deck, put one in your hand, and put the others in the Lost Zone. This inherently works with cards like Sableye, as Lost Mine lets you place 12 damage counters on your opponent's Pokemon in any way you like if you have 10 or more in the Lost Zone. And it also works with cards like Mirage Gate. Mirage Gate, search your deck for up to 2 basic energy of 2 different types and attach them to your Pokemon in any way you like. So looking at this energy, you're probably thinking, why are we playing Dark? Why are we playing anything that isn't just Water and Psychic? And that is because aside from having Kyogre as an attacker with Aqua Storm, you do have the ability to use Iron Hands with Ampy Very Much to deal 120 and take an additional prize if it knocks something out. And then you have Roaring Moon, which just genuinely is strong. You have Frenzied Gouging, which can just auto knock out your opponent's Pokemon. Or you have Calamity Storm, which deals 220 if you discard a stadium in play, either it be yours or your opponent's. So this deck is built around basically using Iron Hands or using Roaring Moon in order to take the first 2 prizes, and then you finish with Kyogre. Now paired with this, we also do have Origin Form Palkia V-Star. We haven't seen this card in quite a while, but in this deck, it actually is super unique. Most of the time you use it for Star Portal, but you can use Subspace Swell. Star Portal, during your turn, you can attach 3 water energy from your discard pile to your water Pokemon. So this means that you can power up a Kyogre in a single turn without having to use Mirage Gates. It means that you can power up to Retreat for, something if you promote a Palkia and just need it to retreat, but most of the time you'll use it for Aqua Storm, or you can use it for Moonlight Shuriken, which does 90-90. So Palkia is a very great inclusion, and the line of play with this deck is to technically and essentially, if you're playing against a 1-prize deck, you just use Iron Hands a couple times and then go into Greninja, or if you're playing against a, weird style of deck like Lugia, you can use Iron Hands on an Archeops, take 2 prizes, then finish with Kyogre, take the other 4. If you're playing against a 2-prizer deck like Miraidon, you have the ability to use Calamity Storm or Frenzied Gouging, take 2 prizes, and then finish off with Kyogre. And the neat thing with Palkia is that it gives you the ability to kind of set up numbers too, so that way you don't have to have as many energy. As we all know, Kyogre maxes out at 250, so those Pokemon with weird HPs, you can technically power up a Greninja in 1 turn, go 90-90, and then it gives you the ability to kind of solidify the rest of the turns. Now paired with that, we are only running 4 Colress, just so that way you have draw power, 3 Pokegear, and then we have 4 Switch Cart, 4 Escape Rope to make everything work. As always, the deck list will be posted right here so you guys have a full clean view of it. And in the description will also be the deck list so you guys can copy and paste it into Pokemon Trading Card Game Live. As always, thank you guys for all of the support. We're on the road to 1,000 subs. I believe we're at 915. You guys have been doing amazing things. I appreciate you guys being so patient, and I hope that this new schedule works out well, at least until I'm done with school. So, as always, I want to thank you guys for everything. If you are new here, I need you to do me a couple favors. If you're brand new, I need you to smash the like button, subscribe, turn on post notifications. Let me know down in the comments how your guys' week has been. If you celebrated Thanksgiving, did you do anything fun? Me personally, I just enjoyed the day of doing no homework, enjoying the day with family, and it was a great, relaxing day. So, as always, thank you guys for everything, and I will catch you in the gameplay. Later. Alrighty guys, so we're into the first game with Turbo Lost Box. Let's see what we can do in this matchup. Hopefully we're able to set up how we need to. Whether we go first or second, it's not really too bad either way. If we go first, we have more access to Comfeys as far as flower selectings. If we go second, gives us the access to play Colress, so either way, it's not too bad, and my opponent is going first, so hopefully we have a decent setup here, and we start Greninja or Sableye. I'm going to put the Greninja out just because I don't want to have something on board that's a little bit awkward. So we are playing against, looks like Miraidon, and when it comes to Miraidon, our game plan is most likely going to be Moon into something along the lines of using Sableye if we need to, but most of the time just ending the game with Kyogre. So we'll be able to 90-90 if we need to. We have Moon, which can take additional prizes, and my opponent plays Mareep as well, so hands can actually KO Mareep or Fluffy, providing my opponent leaves in the active. With only running Escape Rope and not Counter Catcher, my opponent is in control as to what they give me, but at the end of the day, depending on what they leave on their bench, we're still in a good spot too. So it is going to be a little bit rough, but it's definitely not game-breaking or the end of the world. And we do have Greninja, as well as a Nest Ball for a Comfey. So we can actually kind of set up the way that we need to. And thankfully, with, the Escape Rope 2, depending on what my opponent brings up, we actually might just be able to deal 110 to something like an Iron Hands or Miraidon, which means in turn we could finish it off with our own Iron Hands and take 3 prizes, which makes things a little bit easier for us. So there's the Zapdos coming down, the Iron Hands. Iron Hands has a base, and there's the Raichu coming up with the Fast Charge. So my opponent will be able to accelerate some energy, but it is only 1, thankfully. So there's the Fast Charge. And now it's going to come down to exactly what we can do here. So we top deck another Dark. I think the first thing we're going to do is just Nest Ball. We'll grab the Comfey. And then we can use Concealed Cards to draw 2. We get a Colress, which is huge. This means that we can go Colress. We are going to need the Moon. Our hand is actually like super filled with energy right now. That's super awkward. We'll go Nest Ball, and I guess we'll go another energy. I haven't had a chance yet to check what's prized, but I definitely do need to do that. So we'll go Escape Rope into the Comfey. See what my opponent wants to do here. There's the Comfey coming out. So now we have the ability to look. We get another Comfey, which is good. This means that we can attach Retreat, which is always nice. So we can attach Retreat into this Comfey. If we hit a switching card, we can deal some damage. And we hit an Escape Rope. Now there is 2 energy gone, so I do only have 10 to work with. So depending on what my opponent goes for, we're going to have to keep in mind that that is a possibility. And I should probably check what is prized real quick. So we have 1 Recycler and a Super Rod. We have a Super Rod in hand. So there is 1 Recycler prize. Never mind, the Recycler's gone. So, okay, not too bad. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We have 4 energy prized. That's insane. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, we have 2 energy prized, so it's not the end of the world. Honestly, we'll probably just go into another Comfey. And then next turn, we'll Greninja 90-90 and then try and set up the Kyogre. That's probably the only thing we're going to be able to do, really. So we'll go Rope, Comfey. This will put us at 5. And then the following turn, we'll be able to Greninja. And then we can figure out the rest of the game from there. So we have Comfey with Flower Selecting. We're going to have to grab the Colress. That way next turn we do have the ability to attack. And then we'll just pass. Now my opponent is going to be able to potentially get 2 prizes. So it's going to be super risky on what we can do. But if my opponent goes hands and gets 2 prizes, be super risky. I'll have to see what my opponent goes for. Okay, so my opponent has an empty hand, which isn't bad. They do have the ability to use Dynamic Spark, but they are going to have to get rid of 2 energy. So we are going to be able to 90-90 the Fluffy as well as the Mareep. And then my opponent's going to be kind of in an awkward spot. Depending on how things go, because then we just work on setting up the rest. So my opponent goes Dynamic Spark and deals no damage. We top deck the Kyogre, which is never bad. So then we can get rid of a Dark, draw 2. So we get a Lightning, Suing Heavy Ball. Now we can actually check what's prized. So we have a Water prized, Mirage Gate, Switch Cart. Okay, so we do have 2 Energy prized. So I should have a Water left. So we can go Flower Selecting. Flower Selecting can grab us the Escape Rope, which means then we can go Colress. We can grab the Mirage Gate, the Water, and I think actually drawing that Water may have just messed us up completely. I don't think I'm gonna need the Palkia. We'll grab the Gear. And yeah, I think drawing the 1 Water may have just made it to where we can't do what we want to do. Now what I could do is I could go Moon into KO and then go Kyogre following turn, which doesn't sound bad. So I think that's what we're going to try and go for. So we'll bench Moon. We're going to have to use one of these Super Rods to put back the 3 Dark Energy. And then we'll have to go Mirage Gate, grab a Dark and a Psychic. And then we can go Dark. We have the free retreat because of the Beach Court. And then we can go Calamity Storm, discard the Beach Court. And then deal 220, take 2 prizes, and then hopefully we're able to get some good stuff going from there. So we get 2, so we get Gear and a Psychic. So drawing some energy isn't bad. I just need to be able to kind of get going how I need to. We do have the ability to use the Frenzied Gouging. Next turn, force my opponent to promote the Iron Hands, take a knockout, and then we can just Greninja. So I don't hate that play either. I just need to get to the cards in order to swing with Greninja. So definitely going to be a little bit awkward, but it's not the end of the world. And we can actually just Calamity Storm this Raikou. So honestly, Roaring Moon putting in a lot of work in this matchup. My opponent playing out the stadiums as well really helps us, so it's definitely not too bad. See what my opponent wants to do, and we do have access to 2 Pokegear as well. And we should only be down 2 Colress. I don't think that there's anything else that we need to really worry about. So we shall see. We do have a 1 retreat cost as well, which isn't bad. Honestly, Beach Court is a good card. Pokestop is just a lot more versatile when it comes to Lost Box because it gives you the chance to mill more in order to use Aqua Storm the following turn. So we draw another Dark Energy, so honestly, we're just going to go Concealed Cards, get rid of the Water, see what we draw. So we draw the Pokestop, which is good. We have Pokegear. Use the other Pokegear, and unfortunately whiff on that one too. I'm gonna put the Pokestop out just so that way I do have the ability to kind of draw through some more of my deck. And I do have the Mirage Gate, so I could Switch Cart, KO these 2, and then my opponent is stuck with a Raikou in the active, and then no matter what my opponent brings up, it can get KO'd by Moon. So I don't hate that either. I just don't know if I have another energy in the discard. Do I have anything to search with? I don't think I do. I think we'll just go Super Rod, put the Water back in, and then we can go Mirage Gate. Okay, so we have 1 Dark, which isn't... That's perfect, actually. So we have the Water, the Dark, and then we have the Water here, which means now we can go Escape Rope. You can go Moonlight Shuriken, and then regardless of what my opponent brings up next turn, unless it's a one-prizer, then they have to deal with the possibility of being KO'd by Roaring Moon. And since there's no damage on the moon, it means that even if we have to use Calamity, or I'm sorry, Frenzied Gouging on the Iron Hands, it means that my opponent's not going to take additional prizes. So definitely Roaring Moon putting in the work. If my opponent had a better setup or a better time going, we definitely could have gone the Greninja route into the Kyogre. That would have been something to, do in order to benefit the most. But considering the fact of having energies prize plus some energies in hand, Moon was definitely the best option. So and my opponent doesn't have a way to one-shot a Roaring Moon either, unless I use Frenzied Gouging. So my opponent just passes, which means now we can just go retreat, go into here, and then we can just use the Frenzied Gouging, take a knockout, deal a bunch of damage to ourselves, take 2 prizes, and then we are able to win that game against Miraidon. Lost Box with Kyogre inherently usually has a good matchup against Miraidon, so it kind of worked out how it was supposed to. We just had some extra, adaptations with the Roaring Moon, meaning that we were able to kind of set up the rest of what we needed. So that was the first game. Let's hop into a second game and see if we can do the same exact thing. Alrighty, guys, so we're into game number 2 here. Let's see what we can do. We do win the coin flip. Do I want to go first or second? I'm going to go first just because it does give me the extra Comfey possibility. So it means that I do have the ability to potentially set up some more. When speaking of Comfey, we actually start Comfey, which is huge. So as long as my opponent's not playing something like Iron Valiant, we should be okay. I could have benched double Comfey, but it's not the end of the world. So we'll see what my opponent's doing. So they start Greninja. Okay, so we are going first, which is huge. So we have access to flower selecting. I'm not too sure what my opponent's playing. Kyogre might not be the vibe this game. So I'm going to toss it. It is awkward to toss, but it's definitely not the end of the world. We can go Hands and Roaring Moon as well. We can get Greninja here. Greninja will let us see 2 more cards. We can go Hisuian Heavy Ball. Grab the Palkia, so we have 2 energy prized. Okay, so our prizes aren't too bad. So we have access to the Palkia. Go Escape Rope into the other Comfey. Use Flower Selecting once more. Switch card or Energy? I'm going to go the Energy. Throw it away. We'll Nest Ball, grab another Comfey. And then this means that we can switch card here into this Comfey. Use Flower Selecting. Just give us a few more options to look at. Sableye in the mirror, providing it is the mirror, could be good. So I'm going to keep that. And honestly, there's not too much else I need to dig for, so I'm going to hold this Pokestop just so it forces my opponent to have to find one. But we do have Palkia to attack with next turn if we need to. So my opponent gets rid of a water. And if they're playing something like Bax, which they are playing Irida, so they probably are, we do have the possibility to 90-90 next turn, but we'll probably go into Hands. Our line of play will probably be Hands, Palkia, Moon. Unless my opponent doesn't bench Manaphy, then we can go Greninja and KO both Frigibax, but Hands will probably be the important thing for us in this matchup. So there's a Rotom and double Frigibax. So there's a town store. There's no tools that we can search for, but that is fine. We actually do have the possibility to potentially set up Greninja next turn as well. So we have 3 in the Lost Zone. This will be 4. So we shall see what my opponent wants to do. So my opponent Bravery Charms a Frigibax, which is really annoying. I don't think Rotom inside of Baxcalibur is really worth it, but it's not the end of the world, I suppose. So if we can get the hands going this turn, we'll be able to take 2 prizes, and then we can go into Moon, and then go into Palkia. So my opponent brings up Palkia anyways, so not too bad. We do have to kind of hope that we can top deck something here, though. And we top deck a Colress, which is huge. We needed that. So we have Colress, which we can grab the waters. Or I could grab the gear, too. Honestly, I'm going to grab both waters. Throw the gear away, as it does give me a little bit more to work with. Town Store, I just want to see what's in the deck, see what my potential line of play is here. So I do have 1 Lightning Energy, which is good. So what I'm thinking is we go Concealed Cards, discard Draw. So we get the Gate, which is good, because we are going to be able to potentially use Gate. So we'll go into the Comfey, use Flower Selecting, Switch Cart or Dark. I'll grab the Switch Cart happily. So then we can go Switch Cart into this Comfey, which means we can go Flower Selecting here. Escape Rope isn't bad. And now really all we need to do is just hit the Iron Hands. And depending on what my opponent brings up, if they bring up one of these, we take 2 prizes. So that's fine. Then we'll go Pokestop. We'll use the Pokestop. If we can hit Nest Ball here, that's huge. We hit Switch Cards, and speaking of hands, we just got rid of the hands. So, let's see. I could potentially Sableye next turn, so I don't hate that. I think, honestly, I'm just going to Escape Rope, and then depending on what my opponent brings up is what I will promote. If they bring up the other Frigibax, okay, so there's Greninja, so I can actually take a knockout on the Greninja, which I don't hate, or I could go 90-90, which I don't hate that either. There's 2 waters in here, so they would all have to go there. Let's see. Honestly, we're going to go Palkia. And then we'll evolve Attach. And then we'll go Star Portal. We can go 1 and then 1 on the Greninja, just so that way we do have the ability to potentially attack with it next turn, depending on what my opponent goes for. We can take a prize here. We get a Mirage Gate, which is good. That means that we can set up the Greninja next turn. So this is going to be a little bit weird as far as the math goes, but nothing that we won't be able to figure out fully. And if my opponent goes like Chien Pao or something, then we can just go Cramorant into hands for 3 prizes. There's a Nest Ball. That's what we were looking for. My opponent gets rid of Pokestop. So if my opponent takes a knockout here, it's going to be super awkward for sure. But they do have to find 5 energy for a Chien Pao. Okay, so they bring back Greninja, which is fine. There's concealed cards. So yeah, if we take a knockout on Rotom, then we can just go Cram into hands. And then that's our win con right there. We just have to make sure that we can find a Nest Ball to bring the hands back. So there's the Chien Pao. There's a water on the Rotom. There's the GM Pow coming up. We could go Moon as well. Just have to figure it out, see what my opponent wants to do here. If they have 5 energy out of those 6 cards, I'm going to be so sad. But we will see. Okay, so just 2. Oh, there's an Iono. So Iono it's not rough, but it does get rid of the gates, which kind of were my win con. But I do draw a Colress, which isn't bad, so could always be worse, right? So we are going to be able to Subspace Swell, KO the Qian Pao, and then we can just set up the rest after the fact. It's just going to be more determinate on what my opponent does. So right now, Subspace Swell, KO into Cram into Iron Hands for the knockout. That's really the only line of play that we could potentially do. I just have to hope that my opponent doesn't see it coming either. So, get Escape Rope. Escape Rope actually isn't really going to do too much, so we'll just go Concealed Cards to draw. Draw 2, we get a Water. We'll go Colress, which will fill the Lost Zone. And the Energy Recycler could be important. Do I have any gone yet? I have 1 Recycler gone. And I still have access to 2 potential Super Odds, so I'm fine with that. I have to not get rid of the Electric anyways, so we'll use the Pokestop just for the Self-Mill. We get Double Gate, which is good, so we have the win con in hand for, you know, what my opponent wants to do. So honestly, just 260. And then we can go from there. We also have Sableye that we can use in the next couple of turns. We are at 9, so next turn if we promote a Comfey, we're good. Then we can use Sableye to start to ping my opponent's board. We'll have to figure out what my opponent wants to do here. There's the Barrel. If my opponent doesn't take a knockout with Palkia, we'll probably just knock out whatever's in the active. And then we have the ability to use Sableye Ping for 120 to KO the Barrel. So either way, we should have this matchup. We should have this game. My opponent gets rid of Manaphy as well, which is quite peculiar, but we will see. Right now, my opponent doesn't have really anything that they can work with. And if my opponent leaves something like Greninja in the active and just goes 90-90, we can take a knockout for 1 prize. And then if my opponent goes a 1 prizer the following turn, we have a Hands to take 2 prizes. Or if they go an EX, then we have Moon to take 2 prizes. So either way, things are not looking too bad for what we want to do. So there is 4 energy on Greninja. Concealed cards. Drawing my opponent 2 more. I definitely could have won this game if I kept Kyogre, but it's not the end of the world. And depending on what my opponent actually knocks out next turn, we can just go Hands and take 2 prizes, and then regardless of what my opponent brings up, Palkia can get the finish. So we'll see. There's quite a few things that we can do here. So there's the Moonlight Slash. So 90, 90 as expected. So now we have the draw for turn, and as long as we can find something like a Super Rod, we'll be okay. So first thing we'll do is Colress. Colress will grab us the Super Rod that we need, and we do have Escape Rope as well, which is good. We have a Nest Ball in hand, so I don't think we're going to need too much from it. So this means that we can go Super Rod back in the hands. And just to be safe, the energy. And then we can go Nest Ball into hands. And we have the energy to search out. We have the gates as well. I just need to make sure that I can get... actually need a little bit more energy. So I definitely done goofed with that. For some reason I thought that Ampy Very Much was only 3. So the first thing we'll do for sure is Mirage Gate. Oh, okay, never mind. Good, we have the energy. So we can go here. And then we can go attach. We have the ability to Mirage Gate once more. Put the Dark onto Iron Hands. Use the Radiant Greninja for concealed cards. Get rid of the waters. Draw us 2. We can retreat for 2. Go into Iron Hands. And then we have the ability to kind of just set up for the next turn. We have Super Rod, which is huge. So what I'm thinking we do is Super Rod. Put back the energies. Could go Moon if I need to as well. But I think I'm just going to go the energies. And then we can just use the double gate to power back up the Palkia. So a little bit out of, the way that we wanted to, just because I did already use the Star Portal. So we're going to use Ampy Very Much, take 2 prizes. My opponent's going to need quite a bit in order to kind of set up the rest. We take 2 prizes, and I'm pretty sure regardless of what my opponent brings up, Palkia takes a knockout. So, because even if we only go to 3 benched and my opponent doesn't bench anymore, that's 20, 40, 60, 80, 100, 120, 140, 200. So, if we have 1 Pokemon prized, we should be okay. There's a Comfey, there's that. I know I have Sableye left in the deck, actually. So there's the Superior Energy Retrieval. So my opponent probably going to retreat to the Ampy Very Much. Just so that way, they potentially have an extra turn, but it's not going to be enough. We do have 11 as well, so we can just retreat, go into the Sableye, and then be good. Now, if my opponent does something like Iono, it's a little bit scary, but that'll put us 1 card closer to what we need, so... Oh, interesting. Okay, so my opponent goes into the Palkia, so they are going to be able to take 3 prizes, but there's just the Ampy Very Much, which means now we can just go into our Sableye and take the final prize on the Manaphy or the Barrel. So we will promote the Iron Hands, draw for turn, we get the water, make sure there's nothing I'm missing there, Pokegear, and we know that we have it, so we can go Colress, grab these 2. We can bench, attach, and we have the switch cart into Sableye, which means now we can go Lost Mine. Lost Mine lets us go 40, 30, 20, 20, 10. Able to take our very last prize card. And just like that, we were able to win. So this deck is definitely fun. It's nice to be able to have options and kind of be able to mess around with Lost Box as a whole again. Lost Box kind of saw a decline in play just because of Jirachi, so definitely was nice to be able to play this. So if you guys did enjoy today's video, do me a favor, smash the like button, subscribe, turn on post notifications, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Later.